I'm gonna hunt you down like a motherfucking dog that you are. So you didn't mishear me on YouTube saying that either. When you fuck with people, guys, like we each other, you text somebody something nasty, you know? We don't do that, guys like me. We kill your goldfish. When I say I'm gonna fuck with you, or anybody like me says they're gonna fuck with you, that's exactly what they mean. It doesn't matter the expense. I've spent $1 million over a $10,000 trophy in court. I'm saving the vagina cream for you till later because we're going to ask for a volunteer who's going to put it on. And why do I hand out vagina cream? It's really vagina cream. Now the ladies, we've had guys in here, gals, that don't even know what the hell this is. How can you even be 17 or 18 years old and not know that women put shit on their private parts? How is that possible? That's why I say we're going down the fucking toilet. So I give you a couple days to see who's going to volunteer so you can just think about it. You think I'm cheating? I'm not. I don't know why I keep looking at you about this, but anyway, somehow there is a visual kind of connection between my vagina cream and you looking at me. I don't know what it is. It's probably not good, but I'm not going to go through my little speech about good morning because everybody's heard that at least 10 times if they listen to me. But I do want to make a couple of comments. One is, this is the club I couldn't afford in 1980-81, which I'm still a member of in Los Angeles, the California Club, which is rated in the top 10 clubs of the world. It used to be called a men's club in the good old days, the way it should be. Women were only allowed in the club on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the way it should be. They could only come up the service elevator, the way it fucking should be. But now there's a president of this club that's a lady. I don't know if she's a lady, she's a gal, she's a female. But this was the club I couldn't afford. One of the things I say, join a club you can't afford. Or as Groucho Marx used to say, way before all of your times, who had a brother named Harpo Marx, and he had a brother named Hippo Marx, and I forget what the other brother's name is. I wouldn't want to join any club that would accept me. He said it a different way, and he was referring to Bel Air Country Club in Bel Air, California, which at that time and still even today is a predominantly Jewish country club. And but it's one of the things that I tell you to do is join a club you can't afford. And but back in this day, in 1980, I started the interviewing or the process to join in 1980. You had to have three individuals that recommended you, and they interviewed your parents. Now just think about that for a moment. How many of you would get by the interviewing process if they had to interview your mommy and daddy to get in the goddamn club? Now, some of you would be outraged, right? Well, any club that where it was a requirement to interview my parents, I wouldn't want to join. That's what you'd say, right? And you'd stay fucking poor. They interviewed my parents. And remember, my mother came across the Rio Grande River as an illegal alien. So I wasn't part of the interviewing process. In hindsight, after many, many years now, I'm glad I wasn't. Because I can't even imagine what my parents said during that interview. But what if you could get in the best club on the planet, for those of you that wouldn't be outraged, because it was socially unacceptable. Can you just imagine for a micro-fucking second what your parents they had 25 questions. To this day, I don't know what the questions were. I can only imagine what they were. And I can only imagine how my parents answered them. 3 or 4 years later, they stopped that. 1987. And if you're black, brown, yellow, Chinese, whatever, in 1987, they made a federal statute that you had to accept women, you had to accept people of color. 1987, federal statute. So whenever I get into a room with high-profile people that are minorities of color, whatever, I always say, you got it in 87, didn't you? And so far, to date, I know somebody on YouTube is going to correct me, not one goddamn person has ever told me they got in before 1987. When the federal government made them accept them. I got it in 81. Thank you, Eddie. I got it in 81 because they really wanted me as a member. And I poked the black guys in the eye, and I poked the Chinese in the eye, and I poked the bitches, women in the eye for that because I got in 6 years ahead of the curve, and I'm still a member. Now you need 7 to recommend you because since 87, they can't, or they don't, or they won't interview your parents. And most of the clubs that you can't afford have variations of membership. If you're under 25, if you're under 30, if you're under 40, if you're on, I don't think there's any, if you're under 50, and you pay a different rate, but then when you reach 40, you have to catch up with, if it was 25 or 50 grand at 40, and you only paid 5 grand at 25, you have to catch up when you're 40, because they're assuming that you will make more than enough money if you use the club right. And the irony is, You're not supposed to talk business in the club. That's the fucking irony of this club, or in almost all the great clubs around the planet. Yet it's the place that everybody congregates to talk business. But you're not, and you can't bring in papers, and you can't bring in laptops and shit like that. And I go a couple times a year just to see how things are going. And some of the guys that were the shoe shine boys, I don't even know if they have shoe shine people anymore, and they were always black, are now the general manager of the fucking club. So when I come into that club, it's like King Farouk, Muhammad, and the Pope. Because they remember from back in '81 when I was a minority member. I was the first minority member of the Johnson Club because I was Hispanic. But if I hadn't had blue eyes, I would never got to be a fucking member. Everybody understand that? Do they have blue-eyed black? Yeah, they might. Well, maybe if I was black with blue eyes, I might have got, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, but I got it this morning, so it made me think of that. A couple of other things, announcements. Yes, I did announce last night, it wasn't a nightmare, that I'm giving, first time in this century, I'm giving a seminar at the London Heathrow Airport, and if you want information on it, go to my website. It's another announcement I made last night. You can run, but you can't hide. Shane Stanford, I have you in my sight. I'm gonna hunt you down like a motherfucking dog that you are. So you didn't mishear me on YouTube saying that either. When you fuck with people, guys, like we each other, you text somebody something nasty, you know? We don't do that, guys like me. We kill your goldfish. When I say I'm gonna fuck with you, or anybody like me says they're gonna fuck with you, that's exactly what they mean. It doesn't matter the expense. I've spent $1 million over a $10,000 trophy in court, right or wrong. So be careful who you piss off. Well, you shouldn't be pissing off anybody like Bill Gates, or you shouldn't be pissing off anybody like me, or you shouldn't be pissing off anybody like Warren Buffett. And we have had students, mentees, whatever you want to call yourselves, that have gotten through to Warren, that have gotten through to Charlie Munger, that have gotten through to Bill Gates, have gotten through to Steve Jobs when he was still alive, have gotten through to Elon Musk in their search for dream teams. Because contrary to what you've been taught, you can contact those people if you try hard enough. The operative word is try, well, those are more than one word. Try hard enough, how many ever words that is. And what you normally do is you make 1 or 2 phone calls, if at that. And the guy that got through to Bill Gates, his email address at Microsoft used to be bgates@microsoft.com. Now, that's pretty simple, isn't it? So finally, some dipshit 8 or 10 years ago, or maybe longer when he was still at Microsoft, tried that, and guess what? His personal secretary responded back, does Mr. Gates know you? And he said, and then instead, we're gonna teach you what to say. But this dipshit said the wrong thing. No, I'm just a fucking turd from Topeka, Kansas. And I'm just poor and I'm trying to get rich. But anyway, we teach you what to say, okay? Of course, he knows of me. And so for those of you that are more or less than you don't want to lie, we give you a little scripts and templates to say so you won't infringe upon any religious beliefs you might have. Remember, anything goes in QLA as long as legal, moral, and ethical. Now, morality and ethics swing in the wind. If you're from Israel, where's my Jew boy right there? And I mean that positively, so don't give me a bunch of shit from YouTube. There's different kinds of morals and ethics in Israel. If you're from Russia, whether you're a Jew or not, there's different kinds of morals and ethics in Russia. If you're from New Jersey, there's different kinds of morals and ethics in New Jersey. But where there's a rule of law, legal is legal. So whenever you want to do something that I might not do, you blame it on morality and ethics. Because Dan said, as long as it's moral and ethical and legal, I can do it. So normally it's legal. Now, I'm not going to forget this time. We're going to go around. My name is Rufus. I'm 56 years old. I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey, and that's it. First name, age, and where you're from. Everybody in the room. Okay, yes, sir.
Alex, 48.
That's my mama's name, Amy. Don't have a lightning bolt strike me dead here. Okay, go ahead. Now, needless to say, we're from all over the place. Predominantly from America. I think there's 10 of you from the United States, at least admit to it, and 14 of you are from other parts of the world. But the average age of this group is 37.8, call it 39 years old. The youngest, we have two 22-year-olds, or a 22-year-old and a 25-year-old, if I remember correctly. And the oldest, I believe, is 55 or 56. So this is a slightly older group. Normally, the average age, instead of being in the late 30s, is normally in the early 30s. But my demographics have changed. 10 years ago, it was from 35 to 55. That was the group that came to me. In the last 10 years, specifically, and it's really been buoyed or leveraged because the last 3 or 4 years, it's now 15 to 35. 15. We have 13, 14, and 15-year-olds that are making 10 grand a month. off of QLA. I'm going to say it again slow because your synapses aren't firing as much because you're an older group, right? 13, 14, 15-year-olds making 10, 12, 15,000 a month. I'm going to show you a slide in a little bit, and I mentioned him last night, a guy from South Africa who read about me somehow in a nightmare. He saw me on January 4th or 5th on YouTube. He followed me, and on May 21st or 22nd, he did a deal that he netted, and he put $13 million in his bank account, and he sent me the bank statements, and I verified all the shit from beginning of January to the more or less the end of May. He's never met me, other than I verified who the fuck he is. He has never been here, and he's only participated vis-a-vis the free material on the internet.
How do you attribute the change demographics?
Because when you and I were kids, or for the guys that are, let's say, mid-40s or older, when your parents talk shit to you, you just put your head down. If you wanted to stay at home, you put your head down and you didn't say anything. You didn't say, Dad, you're full of shit. You know, you didn't say that. Okay, I certainly didn't. My dad believed in spare the rod, spoil the child. When he told me to stand here, I would stand here short of a tsunami knocking me fucking down. I wouldn't move for hours or days because I knew what was in for me if I did something my dad didn't want me to do. Now, the kids get talked to by their parents and they Google fuck it. And they know mom's full of shit. They know dad's full of shit. And guys and gals, those of you that have teenagers, most of the stuff you tell them is shit. Because as I said last night, your parents said, I don't know what I don't know. And we did the best we could. Well, the kids now know the best you could isn't worth a shit. Some of you in this room prior to this week still believe the best you could means something. Doesn't mean a goddamn thing. And your children know it. So if your children know you're talking shit, they look for other answers. Now, instead of going to drugs, they come to me. Because I am a drug. I am a cult leader. Better they come to me than drugs. In my day, it wasn't drugs. We used to rob people and knock them down, take their money. Now, I never robbed liquor stores with guns, but I had guys in my neighborhood that certainly did. And so now they go to the internet and then they find me. Some say it's, I've had youth students that their parents were wealthy. They had intervention, had them kidnapped, taken away to places where they desensitize you, the words they use. Shock therapy to get the QLA and the Pena out of your brain. One kid got kidnapped not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times by his rich parents and put shock therapy. And he came back after the 3rd time. He twitches a little now. You can't shock therapy Pena out of you. I'm like AIDS with no fucking cure. You may not utilize what you're gonna learn here, but you're never gonna be able to say, I didn't know how to fucking do it. Never. You're never gonna be able. Some of you won't be able to stomach it. We have QLA barf bags, so when you toss your cookies, and some of you will. A guy that's soon to be on the Hall of Fame, who I brag about, the 2 best deals I've seen in the last 25 years. After one deal, I said it was the best deal I've seen in 20 years. 7, 8 weeks, 10 weeks later, he comes up with another deal. The 2nd best deal I've seen in 25 years, both the same guy. And you're gonna see a webinar of him. We don't show it to YouTube, where he said he threw up before his meetings. And he got it all over his new suit and his fucking shoes. He was so scared, he threw up. 2 best deals in the last 25 years, and I've seen a lot of fucking deals, kids. And if it's the 2 best deals I've seen, it may be the 2 best deals on the fucking planet. One little shit, this tall. He made 30,000 euros a year, which is about $35,000 before he came here. He came to a seminar once, then he came to the hardcore in 2017. Then he did these 2 deals in the spring, summer of 2018. Then he came back again last seminar, April. Now, why would a guy that's now worth about 50 million euros, which isn't a lot of money, but anyway, it's better than his 30,000 euros a year salary. Why would he come back yet again? Because as I said last night, default's a motherfucker. And your default is your home life. Your default are your kids. Your default are your parents. We've had women that have gone through this seminar that talk to their mothers 12, 14, 15 times a day. May God strike me fucking dead if I'm not telling the truth. Nothing you can talk to your mother about 15 times a day is anything but neurotic bullshit. And she wasn't dying of cancer or anything. No. She was alive. She was about a 225-pound tub of shit, the mom was, that had to talk to her daughter every 45 minutes, more or less. Now, some of you in this room talk to your parents, maybe not 15 times a day, but there's nothing you can talk about them daily even. On that happy note, you YouTubers, thank you. All the questions are answered on my website. Don't be calling the fucking office about the seminar in January, please. Based on yesterday's, I'm going to go over the stats of yesterday's open call that we had, Ask Dan. But preliminarily, my crack staff tells me that the results were good. Isn't that right? In fact, they were outstanding. And when I tell you it's going to start at 2 o'clock UK time, and you get on the call at 2:56, and the call's only going to be an hour long, don't bitch to me that you missed the fucking call. We got a bunch of complaints that I was only on the call 7 minutes, 11 minutes. Well, if you had got up out of your fucking bed, because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in Los Angeles, it's 6 in the morning.